Hey, it's Clay. Welcome to another video. This is going to be the start of my new project focused on rebuilding this amp. This is a Valve Junior head that I got really cheap, I think off Craigslist when I lived in Minneapolis. And yeah, it was always kind of a Valve Junior. Never exactly something that I was really that pleased with, but it was a solid amp. I modded it, and that made it a little bit better. But I've kind of... Actually, I had an issue with it where... Let's see if we can find it. This... Focus. This little guy right here. You can see how it's all white. That resistor failed. And so, instead of just replacing the resistor and keeping the amp as it is, I decided that I was going to rebuild it. And I've done a number of pedals from scratch, from kits, and I always kind of wanted to do an amp kit, but never exactly was able to, or had the time to, or the skills or whatever. But I figured now's the time, so we're going to give it a shot, and I'm pretty excited to see how this goes. So what I'm going to do is outline the process here, and then I'm going to do step one and kind of explain how to safely modify an amp, how to discharge it so that you can work in it. So let's do the little project overview. So I've got this head enclosure and I've got this chassis, and these two ingredients are totally fine. You know, this enclosure is extremely solid and robust. This chassis is completely fine, and they fit together. So if you can, you know, chassis and enclosures are not inexpensive. So finding an old amp like this to modify is a great choice, just because a lot of these things can be had for so cheaply. You can find an amp that maybe doesn't even work on eBay or Craigslist or whatever, and rip it out and start over and modify it. You know, this board isn't going to be terribly hard to work on. In fact, it already has a slot for tubes, and it's already got a slot for transformers. So I'm hoping that it just is a nice fit for this kind of a project. So yeah. Secondly, let's talk about parts. I ordered a Mojo Tone small parts kit for an 5F2A Princeton. So the 5F1 is the circuit for the Tweed Champ. Very simple, straightforward amp. And then the 5F2A Princeton, to my knowledge, all it does is it adds a tone control to the volume, which actually is kind of the same idea that I did with this Valve Junior. So just a simple mod that adds a tone control, but I think adds quite a bit of usability. It doesn't suck out a tremendous amount from the circuit like some tone circuits do, where they basically require you have an extra gain stage. So that's the game plan. I ordered the small parts kit from Mojo Tone. It was like 45 bucks. And then I got some transformers. These are from Classic Tone. And these things are awesome. They are really heavy and solid, really solidly built. Just some really good iron here. So this is the Classic Tone. You can see the parts numbers there. I'm not 100% sure exactly which one is which, but one of them is a power transformer, one is the output transformer. I apologize. But for one of them, I got the 5 to 15 watts, so it's going to be a little bit bigger. I believe that's the power transformer, is going to be a little bit beefier for a little bit more power and headroom, which I'm kind of excited about. And yeah, hopefully I think they're going to sound nice. And all in all, for the parts and everything, you know, this was like... So let's factor, if you bought a new Valve Junior, it might be 100 bucks. And if you bought the parts kit, is another 50. And the transformers were about 80 or 90. So we're looking at somewhere in the ballpark of 270, something like that, for a new 5F1 Champ. That's pretty darn good. You got to do all the work yourself, so that's fine. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty cool project. So I'm going to hopefully do some vlogs step by step along the way, and we'll see how it goes. See you soon.